I thought you said that the problem of communism in the United States was more difficult. How would you, suggest a remedy for that?
Well, I will not sit you like a prophet and tell you what to do about your own problem. I do not pretend to know all the solutions against communism, although I will say that one of the best ways to combat communism is to take a militant stand against it. And one of the best ways to show your militant stand is to outlaw every communist party in every country in the world.
No. By doing that, you're using communist methods against the communists, which is defeating your very purpose. It is highly undemocratic, I think, to outlaw the communists, because that is the essence of democracy, to have difference and to give the opportunity for expression. Wouldn't you think so?
I know, but there should also be such a thing as limiting freedom. There is a distinction between freedom and license. A rattlesnake is dangerous. It would be undemocratic to limit its freedom in theory, but it is also wise to limit a rattlesnake's freedom.
Yes, but you are not taking it for granted that every communist is a traitor. I am not quite sure of that. I think it is wrong to persecute a whole group because of some mistakes on the part of its members. I don't doubt that there are communists who spy against their country. I don't doubt that there are communists who conspire to overthrow the government. But you cannot persecute a group as a whole because some of its members are criminals. Criminals should be punished as criminals, and you shouldn't persecute people for the sake of their opinions. And another thing, if you take the human rights away from the communists, well, why should the communists be interested in preserving democracy? I think that if you take away from the communists the freedom of expression, they will turn traitors.
Boom shakalaka, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters around the world. It is your boy Chris Schul, aka the Esoteric Noetic, aka the Chocolate Nubian Sobrada from Ghana, West Africa. Dropping the West-Atlantic truth bombs here in Melbourne, Australia, mate. You can rhyme, mate, because, I'm part of team. Meh. I do everything I'm told. I always follow my government. Obedience is a virtue. I listen to Fauci, ScoMo, George Soros, Joe Christ Biden. Yeah, I believe in communism. I don't like freedom. Freedom is dangerous. It is evil. And I personally think that you all are being selfish. All you anti-boom shakalakers, all you conspiracy theorists that don't want to take the jab, I think you don't get to be part of society. Be sure to like the video, subscribe, click on the bell, tell your friends, tell your mum, drop some comments. Let us know what it is. Let's get it. All right. That's the common slogan, right? You don't get to be part of society, mate, if you don't take the jab. Who the fuck are you to tell me that I don't get to be part of society? To tell me that people that you don't know aren't allowed to allow me into their establishments because it's society. That I have to stay at home. That I can't enter any public facilities because you get to decide that you speak for society. This is absolutely fascinating where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. So at the moment, apparently, the government is having a lot of trouble hitting its 95% target. Because that's the target here in Australia. I presume that's the target for countries all around the world, right? We got to hit herd immunity, 95%. The only people that shouldn't be allowed to get the boom shakalaka should be those that are immunocompromised. How about people that just don't want to get it? No, mate, you don't have any sovereignty, you don't have any free will. You don't get to decide what you do with your life. Because we make that decision for you. And we're doing it because we care about everyone else. It's for the greater good. That's what they tell you, right? It's like the ring in The Lord of the Rings. Perfect analogy. I can do so much good with this ring.
My precious.
Can't do a Smeagol. Got to work on that.
My precious, if I can get this ring, I can do so much good.
All I got to do is just force everyone to comply with what I think is best for society. And we can save thousands, millions of lives, right? Well, look, at the moment, as I was saying, the government has been having trouble hitting its 95% target. And in this article I came across from the age.com.au, doctors and boom shakalaka researchers have observed a significant rise in boom shakalaka hesitancy among older patients following suspected incidents of a rare blood clotting condition associated with the AstraZeneca boom shakalaka in Australia. What is this? The older generation are apprehensive about getting the AstraZ? Oh, why ever would they not want to be good citizens and do as they're told? Well, they've done a lot of surveys, group discussions, and they're finding that the older generation, 70 plus, are apprehensive due to the reports of blood clotting. I mean, that's what's been told in the mainstream news. One can only imagine the other reservations people have, the people that aren't just listening to the mainstream news, that are actually getting their information from other sources, what other apprehensions they may have about taking the AstraZ. But anyway, many doctors say they have noticed a dramatic reduction in the number of patients aged over 70 who are among the earliest recipients of the boom shakalaka, booking appointments for immunization against coronavirus at their clinics, leaving some with hundreds of unused doses each week. Professor Margie Danchan, who tracks COVID boom shakalaka uptake for the federal government, said data indicated high levels of intention to boom shakalaka among Australians aged over 70 before reports of clots associated with the AstraZ boom shakalaka emerged this month. We collected our surveys a few weeks before the whole AstraZ situation really exploded in Australia. Yeah, so it looks like a lot of people, the older generation, are not willing to go ahead with this because they have reservations about the blood clots. It's a horrible thing because we all got to get up to 95%, right? Got to do the right thing. But I would hate to think about the reservations within the younger population, people that are not even really at risk. Of course, wait, this is YouTube. They could still pass this thing, and it's obviously a good idea that they get the AstraZ or whatever other boom shakalaka the government administers. But I would hate to imagine the level of hesitancy when it comes to the younger population. Because look, based on the experience that I'm having, the people that I speak to, pretty much everyone has apprehensions about this thing. Now, granted, there are some people that are making this argument, oh, look, we all got to stay together by staying apart. We all got to do the right thing, and we all got to get boom shakalaka. All got to go ahead with these lockdowns. These people that have no respect for human rights. But even them, because I think self-preservation is such a powerful thing, and whereas people like to virtue signal, deep down they also like to, be healthy. I would imagine a lot of them are expressing apprehension about this thing. And I really don't see this. I really do not see this thing coming into fruition as far as the 95% target, But this is the plan. The idea is to get a large, it's maybe a small section of the community getting this thing, 70-year-old plus. And then eventually you move your way to the younger generation. And eventually you get to a point where the majority of people have this thing. And now you can start saying, oh, look, mate, you're the 5% that haven't been boom shakalaka. Well, you're not allowed to be part of society. This is how they get you. Reminds me of one time at work. I was working in this call center, right? And there was this new proposed change where we had to change the starting time, our work schedule. And the idea was that it wouldn't go through unless everyone agreed, right? And I'm like, oh, cool. Now, I was the only one in my entire workplace that said no, because I'm a black sheep. Meh! And then I found out, I was spoken to by my team leader, that, because I was the only one, that they were going to go along with it. But I was like, what? But I said no. I thought that unless everyone agreed, you couldn't go ahead with this. Oh, well, look, we got to consider what everyone else wants. I'm like, what? And this is what they do, ladies and gentlemen. Now, personally, I believe in free will. If I'm living in my own home, in a neighborhood, and the neighborhood decides that I need to pay a tax, right? I'm living in my own space. I own everything, and says, look, we've a whole bunch of us have moved into this new neighborhood, and we all think that we're all trying to come up with a tax so that we can we can all provide for research for a boom shakalaka, so we can all stay safe, and everyone else is on board. So yeah, you have to give up. You have to be taxed. The idea that some people think that you can actually do this, you can force an individual to give up their freedom for the greater good. This is the root of the entire problem, ladies and gentlemen, and we're seeing this manifested in society right now with this entire boom shakalaka campaign. Oh, we're going to force you. This is the most evil thing to me. And the thing is, I'm not going to be diplomatic about this stuff, guys. I'm diplomatic about a lot of things. But when it comes to human rights, animal rights, I do not mince my words. If you want to force people to take this thing, use the power of the state, the government, to force them to get jabbed. Now, I'm not going to talk about the science. Now, granted, you may think this is the most beautiful, wonderful thing. Personally, I don't care if it's the most amazing thing ever. I don't care if I take this jab and it gives you superpowers. You can't force me to do that. It is a violation of your human rights. It is a violation of the highest law, the natural law. And governments are supposed to pay respect for this through their constitutions, through the legalese system. But over time, they've been obfuscated. You have a look at the conversations that were had 50 or 60 years ago, and it was a very different conversation. People had a basic understanding of freedom. But now it's been perverted to the point where there is absolutely no respect for it. The level of consciousness within the morphic resonance of the people on this planet is such that people have no respect for objective rights. People think it's some kind of proportionate argument where you can violate people because you're trying to do what's best for society. And I'm here to tell you, oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Look, if you want to protect yourself, right? If you want to protect yourself by staying in your home, by not traveling, by doing whatever the fuck you want to do, by all means. But don't be forcing that stuff onto me. Don't be telling me I got to stay in my home. Don't be telling me that I can't fly. Don't be telling me that I'm not able to go out in public unless I mask up. Unless, of course, I get a boom shakalaka. I don't care what the science is. The idea of using science to justify a violation, the violation of rights, is the most insidious, disgusting idea. And people need to call this out for what it is. The very fact that this has reached the level of ubiquitous acceptance that it's somehow justified to use this threat science argument that, oh, the science has deemed that you're endangering people is utterly insane. But this is where we are at. 2021, ladies and gentlemen. An erosion of basic unalienable rights. We're living in a society where people are essentially willing to repeat what happened back in the 1930s and ignore the Nuremberg Code, Human Rights Charter, and we are seeing a little bit of history repeating. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That's basically what I think is going down. Now, granted, I think we are seeing a lot of reservation by all groups of people at this point in time. The ultimate goal is to get enough people on this thing where now you can just mandate this, like actually mandate, make it forcibly implemented. Where look, you don't take this thing and you can't leave your home. I mean, people think that it's voluntary. I mean, this is the idea of what people think. There's this little clip I watched. I'm going to show it to you. Check this out. This is what people think this entire campaign is going to be like. Ladies and gentlemen, freaks and geeks, Peace out, keep it real, don't drive in text. This is your chocolate Nubian soul brother, the esoteric noetic, the disseminator of wisdomatic truth bombs, the purveyor of awesome vibes, the supreme arbiter of silliness. Sure to check out the Telegram group, check out my posts on the Hive, and yeah, if you want to stay up to date, all the links are below. Boom shakalaka.
Every communist party in every country of the world is not a self-contained unit in itself. It is a branch of a world conspiracy with headquarters in Moscow. And the best way to cut off the body is by cutting off its arms.
But there's one thing, Johnny. You see, you can prosecute a certain person only the moment he becomes subversive to law and order. But not till then. Till then it is his right to express himself, at least in a democracy, if it claims to be a democracy.
The minute a man joins a society with the avowed purpose of killing you and cutting your throat, he becomes a traitor to that society. He puts himself outside the pale and protection of the society because he totally rejects it.
But only after he makes an explicit statement of his purpose.
And does he not
till
make
then.
an explicit statement by joining it, by signing up for it, by giving an oath that he's going to turn against this government?
Peter's been trying to get a word
Isn't
in
that
here.
explicit enough?
I don't think so. You can't punish a man until he's committed a crime. At least in Britain you can't. You can't punish him for the thought.
I'm not punishing him for the thought. I'm just saying that he's joined an association of murderers. For instance, here is a group of 10 men. They've drawn up a plan to cut your throat. Then one man of the 10 actually goes out and cuts your throat. Does it stand to reason that the other 9 should be irresponsible or should be free from the blame?
I don't accept your premise that they're out to cut our throats.
And what else do you think that they're supposed to do? When they want to overthrow our society, overthrow our government, institute their own regime, institute their own reign of terror? What else do you want? There are more ways of cutting a throat than simply drawing a knife across it.
Well, but those people who plan to do this are individual persons. You cannot persecute the group as a whole because these individual persons are criminals.
What is liberty?
What the? Who says you can't build muscle on a vegan diet?
What's it like being a hottie in the vegan community?
There are no political solutions, only technological ones.
The economics of the system don't allow multiple competing systems to survive.
Engineering, technology, these arts of humanity, they are magic.